Hey everybody, I'm Monty Mont,
And I'm Tiff.
I'm Travis
and these
Our few
of our favorite things.
things. Wow, for a bass player, bro, that's pretty great. That's pretty great.
I would have to agree.
That was pretty good. Guys, welcome to another episode of our favorite Sings podcast. I'm Monty Mont. Thank you for joining us. God is good, man. I got to say that first and foremost. Tiff, how you doing today?
Always great, especially when it's come to being on here with my favorite co-host.
You know, I know you just stepped into the house about 2 minutes ago.
Oh yeah.
Straight off of work. You supposed to take the day off. I didn't know you was coming in like that, but
Sorry,
guys,
I got to listen.
well, she don't listen to me. We have a great treat. I'm super excited for this one, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But we've had some great guests. We've had some amazing musicians, singers, all that. But Tiff, I don't know if have we had a bass player, like a real?
Nah, this
I'm
would
talking
be our
about
first
a professional
bass player. You're right.
Well, we got one today. Mr. Travis Dykes Jr. is on the show today. Travis, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Just trying to stay warm.
Yeah, well, hey, Travis, you are in Nashville, and praying for everybody who's going through that
Yes,
cold.
definitely.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
But man, okay, so let's get into it. Tiff, you kick it off this time.
Oh, no worries. Let's get right into it. Okay, so Travis, what are some of your favorite inspirational songs?
Inspirational.
Yes.
I will say it probably has to start with like Israel and New Breed. Israel and New Breed is like some of my favorite inspirational music. It's what I grew up on. It's what I used to listen to all the time. Songs like I don't know if you know Another Level. That's a one of my good ones, favorite ones. And I like If Not For Your Grace. Those are kind of more like kind of the slower ones, but some of the faster ones that he's done, like Lord You're Good and stuff like that. Yeah. That's what some of the stuff I grew up on. Those are like a lot of fun ones. And then if you go to more like churchy, you get a little bit more, well, I guess it wouldn't be churchy, but like Kirk Franklin is another person, like his He Reigns, man. I remember when that came out, He Reigns a little ago in the 2000s. That was my jam for the longest time. But yeah, those are like some inspirational songs as far as like what I grew up on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting, man, because I remember, I'm old enough. I sure remember those and stuff before that as well. But let's get to it then. You are okay, guys. Again, I should have done better by his bio. First of all, I apologize. Travis has worked with some amazing people, and he has over 70,000 followers on YouTube. He has got a school, which we will hit a little bit later, and he gives, lessons. You watch him so I saw him first on Instagram, and this brother was playing some ridiculous licks. It was unbelievable. Man. So when did you first pick up a bass guitar, and when did you know, like, hey, I might have something here with this bass,
Well, it's actually really funny. My story is very interesting because whenever I started playing music, I was playing like drums. I feel like everybody started off playing drums, like every little boy when they look at, because they always want to just hit things. And that was what I started off when I was 5 years old. And as I grew up, I got to like about, 12 years old, and I was playing drums and playing a little bit of guitar and stuff. And I originally from Birmingham, Alabama. That's like my original home. And like my pastor at the time had he's a musician and everything. And for some reason, they always had these random instruments just lying around. And so I heard my music pastor she had said something like, man, we really need some more bass players because these people are moving and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I think I could play bass. I play a little guitar. It doesn't seem like it's that hard or whatever. And so I saw like that we had some extra basses in like this random closet in the church. And I asked my pastor if I could do it. He's like, yeah. He's like, 6 months to a year, you could be playing on the platform at church. And I was just like, that's a long time. I was like, I don't want to take that long. And so what I did for the next like probably like month or 2 months is just like every day, just practicing and just going for it and just really trying to figure it out. And like in 2 months, I was playing my first service at church,
Wow.
and that was when I first started like, and that was kind of like my introductory into like bass, and from then it like from just like trying to fill a need and trying to help my church out, I found what my calling was in life, with music and traveling and playing.
Wow. So he said 6 months to a year. You were like, no, I was thinking about 30 days or so, you know? I was thinking like that. So listen, as you were learning, did you have any musical influences as you were learning to play the bass?
Yeah, I have like, I mean, when it comes to artists, like I already said Israel, like Ty Tribbett and some like artists like John P. Key, Fred Hammond, oh my gosh, like just like all those gospel cats, and even like some R&B guys, like my parents used to like they would always play like Marvin Gaye, Luther Vandross, the Temptations, all that stuff came into play, when it comes to me learning, because my parents, they're intentional, even though they're not musicians. Like I think me and my sister are the only two musical ones in my family.
Wow.
And my parents would always play like all these older songs because they wanted us to know them. She's like, well, you can't. And when I was learning, my mom used to be like, well, you can't be learning that new stuff until you learn the old stuff. And so
I know that's right.
And so that was like literally, those R&B guys, and like even like James Brown, like that's when I really started getting into like funky kind of stuff and funky music. I was like, man, that's like, I love that. And so now like when it comes to me today, all those influences start to come through my playing a little bit more. I feel like because of like, my parents kind of instilling that into me at a young age.
Man, that's awesome, man, because it's for me, even when I'm learning something on keys, I always start with the bass because that's just the foundation, and I build from there. And I always wonder how the guy that's playing bass, like what was his influence, all of that stuff. But everybody kind of comes around those same kind of things where you had to have a bunch of different types of music, and the greats say that a lot. And so that kind of transitions me to my next question then. So now you, of course, are a producer as well, and work with great artists. And when you are collaborating with an artist from a bass player's perspective, I know there's some MD guys or a lot of times keyboardists and things like that, but as a bass player and as part of the backbone of whatever they're going to do, what's your approach with artists in terms of when you first getting together? Like, okay, what do you guys want to do? How do you kind of approach that?
That's a great question. It's honestly probably the most neglected side, I think, of producing, because a lot of times when you think of producers nowadays, because everything can be done on the computer, everything can be done at home. Everybody's just like, oh, just make the music sound good. Oh, just make all I want is the music to sound good, rather than thinking about what's the purpose of the song. And that's usually what I start off with, because like whenever I'm working with a couple of new artists right now, and literally before we even touch anything with music, we sit down and have a conversation so I can learn them, learn who they are, learn what their art stands for, because the thing is that when it comes to being an artist, you have a voice, what I'm saying? And so you're trying to voice something. There's a purpose behind, what you're doing. And so I want to learn what that is, because like if I can connect to that, then it's going to make me be not only a better collaborator, but it's going to give you in the end the product that's hitting exactly the way you want it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's honestly when it comes to collaborating is where I start. And then from there, it makes figuring out what the music is way easy, because now it's like, okay, I feel I'm on your level emotionally, I'm on your level creatively. Yes. And so now we can create something great together.
Nice. So we briefly, you talked about some of the influences you had in music, and the Temptations and Marvin Gaye. Is there a favorite type of music that you play, or do you have like a favorite song that you play?
Favorite song. Yeah. All right. So this is actually, it's a good question. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I think every creative or musician has like favorite songs at certain times, like in their life and stuff like that. Now, for me, I had I grew up on gospel and R&B and that stuff. I love that stuff. But I had a time where I went through like a rock phase, like where I was into some pretty heavy rock and stuff like that. And honestly, one of my favorite songs to play is actually, you'd be so surprised, it's not even a gospel song. It's a song called Paramore, or is an artist Paramore. Paramore, but the song is called Ain't It Fun. It's a little bit of a newer song, but for some reason that song, every time I play it, it just brings a smile to my face, because that one is like it's a little bit, it's a rock band, but they kind of have like a pop swing to them, and so like that song is probably one of my favorite songs to like actually play, just like for fun.
Nice. I'm not familiar, but I can't wait to listen to it after.
You don't know that song?
I don't think so.
I promise you've heard that song in the mall or something. They play.
Had to, huh?
See, I'm messing.
Exactly. That's what he knows.
Just listen to it. But
Okay.
That is a good groove on that though, man. You're right. I love that song. That's amazing. Okay, so Travis, I want to ask you this. We kind of just told the listeners and viewers, you are in Nashville. You said you grew up in Birmingham, but would you consider, is Nashville kind of the hub right now for gospel and contemporary music? Because I just seem like everything at some point has to go through Nashville. Even if somebody recorded in LA, they got to get it mixed in Nashville, or they got to get it mastered in Nashville, or it seems like Nashville is really kind of, am I right about that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like, I think right now, I mean, especially in the past like couple of months, we've been having so many people move to Nashville, especially like from other big cities and stuff. And it's really become that a little bit for at least the CCM side. I know for a fact, because the first time I ever came to Nashville, one of my friends that were here, it was like, we weren't even like very close, but they invited me to this church service or Bible study. And so I went to the Bible study, and it was like at this music venue. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And it was like 300 or 400 people there. And I was like, this is a Bible study? And so I went in there, and all of a sudden they just started playing music. And I was just like, is that Carrie Joe? Like, is that like Natalie Grant? And this so-called Bible study was like, really, it was just a church service. But like, I did not realize all these CCM artists or, Christian, contemporary Christian artists were here. And from ever since living here now, it's like, I'm learning how many new people have moved here. There was a time I ran into Justin Timberlake before in a restaurant. Like, there's like, and even like random, just big, huge artists. I was like, wow. But like, it's starting to become more of a hub, when it comes to that. Even like recently, I didn't realize that CeCe Winans church was here, which was her and her husband. They have a church here, which is like, I think it's in like right outside of downtown. And like, I got the opportunity to play with them. And like, they're just like, it's just crazy. I was just like, wow. And then I met all these other new musicians that are around in the town. I was like, man, this really is starting to become a hub, with the, gospel and contemporary scene. I still think Chicago is still number one, like when it comes to gospel. But Nashville, is definitely pushing their way up there.
There's Armor, and then there's God's Armor. God's Armor Athletics is a new workout clothing brand designed to keep you comfortable while you train and be stylish at the same time. In addition to their affordably priced clothing that has an expanding selection of colors and sizes, they offer training sessions. These training sessions can be one-on-one or in a group setting. This is definitely a company that you can put your trust and support in. So please check out their website at godsarmorathletics.com or on social media at God's Armor Athletics. I highly recommend their clothing brand. It's super comfortable and versatile. So check them out at God's Armor Athletics. You will not be disappointed.
I really do believe that there are hubs and places for that. And if you are good, you have to go where the music is. Like I always say, we're from Las Vegas. And if you are aspiring to be or are a great magician, I don't know about the magic scene in Iowa. Not hating on it. It might be great. But you're going to have to come to Las Vegas at some point. You know what I mean? And I honestly, before the pandemic, Nashville was really on my list. I was like, I got to just get to Nashville and meet some people and just kind of, and once things lift, I'll definitely be making it over there. But that's just interesting to hear your perspective with that, though. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tiff.
No, okay. So I was just going to ask you, we know that each instrument kind of plays its part, in music. Can you help Monty out and break down why the bass is so essential to music?
Oh my God. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. No, but I mean, to me, the bass is kind of like it's the heartbeat. It's the heartbeat of everything. Like, it's the instrument that you don't necessarily always hear it, but you feel it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And the thing is, it's just like if you're trying to create, like, say you're trying to create like a house or a piece of like some kind of like, build something like, that's going to connect together. It can't connect together without some like glue or nails or anything that can keep it together. So like, or even with the foundation, like if you don't have the foundation, you can't build anything that's going to last. And for me, the bass, that's what the bass does, is it gives you that foundation. So like, all right, we're going to make this, we're going to have 50 members in this band, but if we don't have a bass, we don't have nothing to stand on. You know what I'm saying? We don't have anything stand. And it also, like, for me, it was just fun to have like bass lines and stuff you could just groove to and dance to. Cause like, honestly, most music nowadays, or even like back in the day, that's what you're grooving. Like, that's how you dance, like, it's from the bass line. But anyways, yeah.
It's
Nice.
yeah, it's essential. I'm gonna ask a bonus question, and then
Yeah.
Tiff, you can wrap it up. But so you have a school or in an academy, if you will. So for aspiring young bass players, this is myself.
All right.
But,
Okay.
I mean, I just had it laying around. What is some of the essential basics that you try to tell or teach young students or old people like me who are trying to get back into the bass? What are some of the foundational things?
That's a great question, because I definitely get that question all the time. But honestly, the thing is that the first thing I would say before like you even learn anything, don't get too wrapped up into theory to where it destroys like your fun, or what is it, your excitement about it. Because like, honestly, sometimes like I've seen people just throw theory, just like, oh, you got to know these arpeggios, you got to do all these chords and stuff like that. But honestly, when you stick to just learning the number system, major scale, minor scale, and the pentatonic scale, that will get you through so much. Because the thing is that whenever you start to see how it works in music, you're just like, oh, okay, this is easy. You know what I'm saying? This is actually way easier than I, could have ever thought, because it's just so simple. And honestly, I don't think I told you this when we were talking, but I'm actually in the process of working on a book with Hal Leonard, which we're in the process of writing right now. This going over all like how to learn how to play bass yourself, just do it yourself bass book. So like if you didn't want to take a teacher, have a teacher, anything like that, you can literally just read this book and go through this book and the DVD and everything and be able to learn it without having a teacher easily.
Oh wow.
Wait,
And be able to
a DIY? Like, I can do that? Because at this point, I only play the tambourine, but I might be able to find a bass laying around like Monty did. And I don't know. Maybe I can teach myself how to do it. That's amazing.
He just whipped that out of nowhere.
I was like, you got a bass? But I will tell you this, Travis. Every time I like Monty, I learn. It's been a year. He told you now. I learn every week. Like, oh, you play that instrument too? Like, I have no idea. Like, he plays all of these instruments. It's insane. Like,
oh my gosh.
Well, for real, that's why I was so excited to get Travis on, because I really started getting back to working with this thing and trying to just get my fingers right. I've been on Fender, just watching some guys, a couple of classes and things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I really want to just talk to a bass player, because even when I was playing on keys, I'm more of a keyboardist, but it was just something always about the bass. I was just always attracted to the bass. And I'm like you, I started hitting drums first, but the bass player was so cool. And, in church, these big tall guys and all this playing, it was just something about it. So I always had this bass, and I said, man, I'm gonna get back into it. So it was God that you came on today, man. You really get
oh my gosh.
Nice. Travis, is there anyone that you like to work with that you haven't had the opportunity to work with yet?
Oh man, that list is probably massive. To be honest with you. I mean, honestly, to play with, like, when it comes to the gospel world, to be able to play with Israel, like that's a huge one. Or even like Ty Tribbett or Kirk Franklin. Oh my gosh, that would be like one of those huge dreams come true, because those are a lot of the songs that I grew up playing, and things like that. So, I mean, now for the side that, like, I'm just like, it would be fun to play. just like absolutely fun. It'd be a dream, like somebody like, you know, Bruno Mars and Justin Timberlake or somebody like that, you know, because it's groovy, because they have there's those gospel elements in their music, like those kind of groovy, kind of churchy, you know, and I just, those kind of elements, I was like, man, anything like that is just fun. I don't think I could dance though to playing Bruno's groove.
Yeah, you got to move with Bruno.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, Travis, thank you. Okay, oh well, one more thing, because you said you brought up Ty, and I remember when I first heard Ty Tribbett, and I believe it's his brother Thad that plays.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He was doing some stuff on bass that I hadn't really heard people do before. It was kind of like his style was just different, you know. And I remember that first album, the second album, and Ty, they ushered in a whole different kind of sound. Like, did you pick that up too, listening to Ty?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think that was the reason why I started fusing things together, because whenever, you know, Kirk Franklin, even like Fred Hammond and Ty Tribbett all started to come into play, because I know they came before him, but like they were already infusing things like, you know, Kirk was taking like R&B and kind of fusing it with gospel. Even like Fred was in that same kind of place. And then when Ty came, he just like took it to just another level of fusion that I was just like, is this jazz? Is this gospel? like where are we at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like, but that was a huge inspiration, because I literally have like a playlist of songs I used to play even to this day of like, and Ty is so many of Ty's albums on there. I just like sat down and just like sit there and figure it out and just try my best to like get whatever I can, you know.
Man, that's nice. Awesome. So before we let you go, please kind of give where people can find you in your all the things that you're doing. Just let people know if they want to get in contact or just check out your music.
Yeah, the easiest way to find me is on my YouTube channel. Just search my name, Travis Dykes, and you should find my channel. I have like a lot of, you know, my big thing is all about practical music and showing you the practical aspects of learning and the insight behind the industry. So you can check that on my YouTube channel. If you want to get, you know, connected to me via like just messages or anything like that, check out my Instagram. I always respond to on there more so than anything. And then also my Patreon, if you guys want any private lessons or anything like that, that's where I go, or where you could go for that.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming on. Yes.
Wow. This was
our first bass player of season 2. I mean, we're getting off to an amazing start, right?
We are building an amazing band of people that we know now. Like everybody that we're knowing, once we put on a benefit concert or something, man, we calling all these folks.
Yeah.
All right, now.
Yeah, you know, we got to get out to Nashville too. But Travis, thank you so much, sir. Tiff, anything else
for having me?
Listen, I want to make sure that you all you subscribe. If you are not following our favorite things, be sure to do so. Leave us a comment, send us a message. Please follow our show.
Please do. And I mean, check out my man. I'm telling you, he comes off, he's a very humble guy, very nice guy, but listen, he is a monster on that bass. Do not get it twisted, y'all. I just hit me up once you hear him. You're gonna be like, yeah, bro, my man's a monster.
Told you.
Hey, thanks again, Travis, to you, your family. You guys be blessed. Thank you for coming on the show, man.
Thank you guys so much for having me.